The story of the Tower of Babel is one of the most fascinating accounts in the Bible, found in the book of Genesis, specifically in chapter 11. This ancient tale offers us a window into the post-flood world and sheds light on the origins of humanity's linguistic and cultural diversity. To fully understand the magnitude of this narrative, we need to examine the biblical details, explore the historical and cultural contexts, and consider the theological and philosophical implications of this event. After the great flood described in the previous chapters of Genesis, Noah and his family were tasked with repopulating the earth. God made a covenant with Noah, promising never to destroy the world with a flood again. Noah's descendants multiplied and began to spread across the land, but soon we find a group of people with an ambitious plan in mind. In Genesis 11:1-2, we read, "Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there." The linguistic unity of the people allowed for clear and effective communication, facilitating cooperation on large-scale projects. However, instead of spreading out and filling the earth as God had instructed, they decided to settle in the plain of Shinar, Babylon, and build a city with a tower that reached the heavens. Genesis 11:4 reveals the builders' intentions. "And they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth.'" Clearly, the construction of the tower was not just an architectural project. It was a symbol of pride and self-sufficiency. They wanted to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered, thus defying God's command to fill the earth. The construction of the Tower of Babel is described with specific details. The tower was made of baked bricks instead of stone, and tar was used for mortar, Genesis 11:3. This construction technique was advanced for its time and indicates a high level of organization and skill. The idea of reaching the heavens can also be interpreted symbolically, representing an attempt to equal God or escape his dominion. God, observing the activities of the people, realized that nothing would stop them from achieving their plans as long as they remained united in language and purpose. Genesis 11:5-7 recounts, "But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, 'Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.'" God's decision to confuse the languages was a direct response to the pride and disobedience of the builders. When the workers could no longer communicate effectively, the tower project came to a halt. The city was called Babel, meaning confusion, because it was there that the Lord confused the language of the whole earth, Genesis 11:9. As a result, the people scattered over the face of the earth, thus fulfilling God's original command. The story of the Tower of Babel resonates with various ancient cultures. Many scholars believe the tower could have been a ziggurat, a pyramid-shaped structure with steps common in ancient Mesopotamia. These ziggurats were often used as temples and centers of worship, highlighting the role of religion and monumental architecture in the society of the time. Furthermore, the narrative of Babel may reflect a historical reality of migration and linguistic diversity. As human communities spread out, they developed distinct languages and unique cultures, a process that can be observed throughout history. The story of the Tower of Babel is rich with theological and philosophical lessons. Firstly, it highlights the importance of obedience to God's commands. The builders' decision to defy the divine order resulted in confusion and dispersion. This lesson echoes throughout the Bible, where disobedience to God often leads to adverse consequences. Secondly, Babel serves as a reminder of the danger of pride and self-sufficiency. The attempt to reach the heavens and make a name for themselves illustrates human arrogance. By confusing their languages, God demonstrates that true greatness and unity can only be found in conformity with His will. In the modern era, the story of the Tower of Babel remains relevant. We live in a globalized world where instant communication and international collaboration are common. However, linguistic and cultural diversity still presents challenges. Babel reminds us that true unity is not based solely on a common language, but on shared values and purposes. Moreover, the story serves as a caution against overconfidence in technology and human progress. While we achieve great feats, we must remember that our abilities are limited and that we need humility and wisdom to use our knowledge and skills responsibly. The true story of the Tower of Babel is a riveting narrative that takes us from ancient times to timeless lessons that still resonate today. It is a story of human ambition, pride, and the need to acknowledge our dependence on God. As we explore the mysteries of this ancient narrative, we are reminded that true unity and purpose can only be found in conformity with the divine will. The Tower of Babel is more than a story about the origin of languages. It is a profound tale about the human condition, the relationship between God and humanity, and the eternal quest for meaning and purpose. As we reflect on this narrative, we are invited to consider how our own lives reflect the lessons of Babel and how we can seek a unity and purpose that honor God and benefit humanity. While the story of the Tower of Babel is often seen as a myth or allegory, its impact endures to this day. The idea of a tower reaching the heavens and the dispersion of human languages continues to capture the imagination of writers, artists, and theologians. The Tower of Babel appears in various works of art, literature, and film, symbolizing the eternal challenge of human communication and cooperation. Moreover, the story of Babel challenges us to reflect on the role of language in our daily lives. Language is a powerful tool that can both unite and divide. In a world where communication is instant and global, the lesson of Babel reminds us of the importance of using language in ways that promote understanding and harmony. The narrative of Babel also has significant implications for the movement towards global unity. At a time when nations are more interconnected than ever, linguistic and cultural diversity can be both a source of enrichment and a challenge. The story of Babel encourages us to value and respect this diversity while working together to overcome communication barriers and build a more united global community. One fascinating perspective is seeing the dispersion of Babel in light of the redemption offered through Christ. In the New Testament, the event of Pentecost, described in Acts 2, can be seen as a kind of reversal of Babel. During Pentecost, the apostles were empowered by the Holy Spirit to speak in various languages, allowing people from different nations to understand the message of the gospel. This highlights the idea that while humanity was dispersed and confused at Babel, God offers redemption and unity through Christ. The story of the Tower of Babel is a captivating account that combines historical, cultural, and theological elements. It is a narrative that challenges us to reflect on human nature, the relationship between God and humanity, and the search for true unity. As we explore this story, we are invited to consider how our own lives reflect the lessons of Babel and how we can seek a unity and purpose that honor God and benefit humanity. Ultimately, Babel reminds us that despite our ambitions and achievements, our true greatness and unity are found in conformity with the divine will. It is a story that continues to resonate in our hearts and minds, challenging us to live with humility, wisdom, and a deep sense of dependence on God.